Welcome to Next Chapter Women, She Blooms in Solitude, a podcast for women over 40 in the midst of change, seeking healing, self-discovery, and a deeper connection to the woman they're becoming. I'm Jess Bordas, joined by my co-host, Maureen Mansi, and each week we'll uncover how to heal, grow, and reconnect with your inner strength through intentional alone time, emotional wellness, holistic care, and powerful mindset shifts, so you can step into an identity that finally feels like you. As certified mindset and identity coaches, holistic practitioners, and moms navigating midlife ourselves, we're here to walk with you. Welcome to Next Chapter Women, She Blooms in Solitude, our 4-part series, Reflections from the Middle, where life isn't falling apart, but it's asking something new of you. This week's theme, week 3, is Rise, choosing movement when life isn't ideal. So maybe there's a moment when you want more, but your life feels too full to make room for it. Today, we're talking about what it actually looks like to rise, especially when you're doing life with limited time, limited money, and a lot of responsibility. So I know that we can both talk about that piece as single moms about a lot of responsibilities, right, Maureen?
Right, absolutely. So I want to tell you a little bit about where I wanted to rise above, given being where I am in my situation. I've been at the same job for 14 years, and my son is a senior in high school, and I'm wondering why I'm not growing in that position. There was an opportunity to move on to another position, and it was taken away from U.S. employees and just given to other countries like the UK, India, because they're paid less there. So that opportunity was taken away from us here in the US. So I thought, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to keep doing my job. But I was finally at a point to move on somewhere. And then I realized, wait, this isn't a roadblock. This is a detour for something bigger for me that is meant for me. So now I'm not looking at it as being stuck and, oh, what am I going to do? And nothing ever works out for me. This detour is really the reason I came to build a business. So I took that, and instead of being negative about it, I turned it into something I'm supposed to do, something greater and better, and make, a purpose for me and speak my voice and really help other women. So that's why with, working a full-time job and holding down the household and raising my son, let's just do this. But Jess, so tell me about you and how this came to fruition for you rising above in your situation.
I feel like for us as single moms, and anybody as a single mom, no matter what you're trying to do, that rising to the occasion doesn't always start with a confidence. Sometimes it's this restlessness, this yearning. You might have a dream or desire, but you've also got this real life, okay? And these circumstances that can be less than ideal. And I heard you just describe that mindset shift that you made, and that's so beautiful. So for me, we knew we wanted to start a business. We knew that we wanted something more. And I think that it's just inside of us. We never wanted to be the victim. We knew that these were the cards that we were dealt, and we were going to help each other get through it. And we both wanted something more out of life. I know that you had been a single mom longer than I had, and I came into it when my kids were teens, and that was interesting.
Yeah, but you did it.
But yeah, with a lot of your help. There's a lot that I wouldn't have gotten through without you because I was doing it alone. I didn't have any support or involvement, really minimal, limited from. And so I did rely a lot on you for a lot of things. I just know that we decided that we want more, and we're going to figure out how to rise to this occasion and make more for ourselves, for our lives, because it'll impact not just us, but our kids. Before I talk about my personal story, I want to say that for a lot of women, especially single moms, that what we're describing could be a complicated moment because you're responsible, you're careful, you've learned not to risk what you can't afford to lose. And this is the place. That's the spot where a lot of women get stuck because they want to rise. But sometimes maybe you feel irresponsible for even wanting it, or you doubt yourself and think, I'll just have to wait. How's that even possible? How's that something I could do right now. And so today we're sharing how we did it without waiting. We had all of that inside of us, but something, and Maureen, to be honest with you, I don't know what it was. I can't place what it was. I guess it was just the desire was there and the fire was there so much that was just making the choice.
It goes back to that intuition. It goes back to listening to what is good for you despite the challenges to get there. And with the support of each other and with the support of our tools that we use, like meditation and movement and being in nature, and all these things help give you a clear picture of where you should be headed for yourself. And when you listen, it moves mountains. Now, I don't operate a lot on distraction. I don't listen to the news. I don't listen to a lot of people and get people talking in my ear about. And I feel that when you give it space to listen inside and quiet, it helps guide you in the direction that you're supposed to go. I think that that's where we kind of rose above the challenges and we're like, we can do anything because we're being guided to do this. So we will find the resources. We will do this. We'll support each other. We'll do what we have to do in order to.
And we'll trust.
And we'll trust. That's the biggest thing. Trusting that how hard it is, keep going, keep showing up, keep doing what you are being guided to do to get on that path. So with that said, Jess, let's go and talk about some of the things in your head that you went through before we had that epiphany, or some of the fears that you had before we wanted to do this. And
I mean, I was so stressed out. Do I need support? Like, there has to be a support group near me. There's got to be something. There has to be some help. And so I remember actively searching for language, Googling to explain what I was experiencing. Not because I thought something was wrong with me, but I just knew that maybe the level of exhaustion that I have, it wasn't just about being tired or whatever I was worried about, doubting myself. Because when you're doing it completely alone, I had to make all the decisions. I didn't share that with anyone. And if I was feeling so stressed and anxiety ridden about simple things like my kid going out and staying X, Y, and Z, as a 16, 17-year-old, whatever at the time, maybe 15-year-old. If I make one wrong choice, or if I make a choice and I think it's right, but it ends up being wrong, I own that. It's all my fault. It was scary. So I was looking all of this stuff up, and I came across this term, single parent stress syndrome. And it's not a diagnosis. It's not in the DSM-5, but it does describe something very real. And it refers to this chronic physical, mental, emotional exhaustion that can happen when one person is carrying the full weight, the entire thing of it, of parenting, household responsibility, financial stability, and often without enough support. There was a point when we talk about a lot of mindset shifts where after reading about that and thinking and feeling almost, even though I didn't join a support group, but feeling a little relief, where I kind of stopped in my tracks and said, this isn't a personal failure. It's just some sort of systemic overload that I'm having, and to be able to stop blaming myself.
Right. And I remember when you were telling me about this, I could be supportive, but what wasn't in your situation, because I have my son a week on, a week off, and you have your kids all the time. So I would get that week break, space, release, whatever I had to emotionally deal with my, my kid every other week. And you had to take the burdens and, bear all that stuff with your emotions and the physical tiredness every day. You never got a break. So you were constantly saying, I got to make the decisions. It's all on me. But once you started to give yourself a little grace, as you said, it started to get a little bit better.
I do want to say that. Oh, thank you. Thank God you were there for me. Through all the phone calls, like something happening and having this huge fight with one of my kiddos, teens. It's different, when they're teens. Learning how to parent teens, and could be a whole nother show while you're a single parent. That's a whole nother show in itself. As I reflected back on this single parent stress syndrome, I found that there's research that backs this up and shows that single moms experience clearly significantly higher rates of psychological distress and loneliness than partnered mothers. And not because they're weaker, but the load is heavier. And I do have to say before we move on that was another feeling that I remember having, was the loneliness. I can't put a finger on it. I don't know why, but it was a very lonely place.
You said you felt isolated. There was an isolated feeling. And I remember saying that I felt the same way. And it was in our transitional periods before we decided we can do something bigger. There was almost like we're sitting here, we're feeling lonely, we're feeling isolated. We had a calling that we were meant to do more.
Yeah, that understanding of that I was able to work through with you in real time is where something changed for me, because I stopped seeing that exhaustion, the isolation, that anxiety, that worry as a flaw. I'm not flawed. It's okay. And I could stop forcing myself to try to rise in ways that just weren't sustainable. And that takes us into hidden costs for staying in these spots. When I'm saying staying in these spots, it's not just trying to get by. Getting by, doing it, doing what you have to do, but also wanting more. So figuring out, I know I want more, but I'm not acting on it.
So wanting something more, instead of just going through the motions of every day and saying, oh, I'm doing this, I can pay the bills and I'm making dinner and I'm running my household. But you have this yearning and that passion inside.
Some hidden costs are things like normalizing being unfulfilled, because then your life starts to shrink and there's less moments when you feel alive.
Right. And I think too, boredom was a big part of it, because I'm bored of this job. Although I'm happy and I like my coworkers, but my son's getting older and he's got a job and he's not here as much. And here we are alone in our spaces. And we wanted to have a purpose-filled, passionate life for us to start feeling filled in our own bodies and then have it go out to other people. If you're listening right now and you're feeling this way and you don't know what to do, you're bored, you feel isolated, you feel depressed, maybe there's a calling inside of you. And we're not saying it's always easy, but if you feel inside that you want to live a life full of purpose, follow your dreams, because we only have one life to live. And it may be harder than it might sound hard. And if you want to get stronger, there's resources out there to go with your passion.
You just said it. Maybe there's a calling inside of you. Sometimes you don't know what's going on with you. You have these feelings, but it's like we always say through this whole series and all our other podcasts, the feelings are there telling you something. Although we can say that in hindsight. And we've always lived intuitively, but sometimes you feel these things and it's normal to not know why or think, let me stop when I'm in the middle of all this chaos. Maybe this is telling me something. To what you're talking about your dreams and all that, because God forbid you don't want to get to a place where dreaming feels childish or irresponsible. You don't want to get to a place where you start to lose the ability to not be able to imagine yourself with a different life.
And say that you're not worth it. This is the way my life always has been. This is the way it's meant to go. Change the story in your head. Know that you can do anything that you really want to do. It's not without a lot of hard work and a lot of direction and a lot of listening to your intuition inside. But if you're led to do something, start seeing these signs. I think that the big thing with Jess and I is that we started to see things in our lives as not just saying, well, that was coincidence, but things were being put in our lives and showing us. And it was up to us to see them and not pass them by, but to go for it and go with it and be like, oh, that is a sign that was directed towards us. Let's, explore that a little bit more as opposed to ignoring it.
Explore these desires, because there is a place that is completely normal to feel like, well, as long as nothing's falling apart, it's okay. I remember having that feeling like I had boxing gloves on, thinking every single thing that would happen, I would deal with it and go, okay, well, nothing's falling apart now, but when's that next thing coming? Let me get ready for it. Because you're the only person holding everything together. And so sometimes staying still can feel like the safest choice. Right. But safety without movement is just you could be killing your dreams and really betraying your authentic self.
Right. Survival mode. Is that healthy for us? Is that what we say we're in survival mode because that's just going to get us through? But are you really surviving in your best life when you're in that mode? I mean, survival mode, that sounds negative to me. Surviving fully despite the challenges and rising above and following your dreams. That's the survival mood I want to be in.
Yeah, and
So,
you said something the other day. Your quote was, "Rise above, even if it's a risk. Rise above."
right. And everything's a risk. Is it a risk worth taking for your happiness and for your purpose in life? Absolutely. And if you feel ready to talk things through with real support, we also offer private coaching. You can book a conversation with us if you want to move forward in a way that feels steady, supported, and true to you. You'll find that link in the description below.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and wondering what rising could look like for you, not someday, but now, think about what it is that you're being asked to rise above, okay? Because for us in this talk, we're discussing starting a business, but it could be anything for you. Rebuilding after divorce, navigating single motherhood, reclaiming your identity, making some hard decision.
Creating a new relationship with your children that maybe
Yeah.
was, hurt in the past. Reaching out to people that you think about all the time and that maybe you don't reach out to, or just calling somebody on the phone out of the blue. Anything that resonates really good with you that's going to help you feel like full inside. It doesn't have to be starting a business. It could be the smallest thing that could change your life, could change somebody else's life too.
Yeah. And so I've got some little steps that somebody might be able to take for us. We didn't have the funds, the startup funds for this business when we wanted to go into this venture. So it was like, okay, well, we're still going to do it anyway. We're going to do the researching. Oh, I mean, we launched it quietly. So it doesn't always have to look like some loud, huge announcement. There's always something you can do to get you towards that end goal. And like Maureen said, it could be maybe just having one honest conversation with whomever. The one thing that we always stuck to was just carving out that space to protect our energy. That's all stuff that helped us keep it sustainable.
Yes. Right, exactly. The things that we do for us personally are the reasons that we're here today. The tools that we have used have really helped us. We wouldn't be here if we didn't do some self care and do some
Yeah.
reflection and meditation and movement and nature. And all these things come to us when we are using our tools.
If you walk away from this today and you're wondering, what could I take from this? What could I do? Maybe it's just releasing one false responsibility, which is, what am I carrying right now that was never meant to be mine? Because that happens a lot to us as single moms. We're forced to, or we think we're forced to carry so much that isn't necessarily ours to be carried.
And I know that this might seem overwhelming, but just like Jess said, one small thing. Put on a meditation, self-love. Just start loving yourself, knowing that I am enough today and I'm going to do one small thing that shows that I love myself today. That is a step in the right direction. And just these small steps will grow into bigger steps down the line. And you start seeing how much you're worth that self-love. And you start to believe it.
Yeah, because rising isn't about proving anything. What I'm hearing and what is so true that you're saying so eloquently is rising is about staying connected to yourself while you move. I do want to offer that if this conversation is resonating, it usually means something inside of you is waking up. And you don't have to figure that out alone. We created a free guided reflection where you are right now. It's a gentle experience that helps you slow down, get clear, and understand what this season is asking of you. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about listening to yourself, and you can find a link in that description below. So to wrap things up with a reflection, rising, it doesn't have to look bold. Sometimes it's quiet. You might be rising right now and you don't even know it. Sometimes it's soft and slow and quiet. But if you're still listening to the part of you that wants more, you're already rising. That's the big message, and we're really glad that you're here.
Yes, we are. Thank you for joining us today. And if any of this resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. We can meet you where you are, and we will be happy to be of support to you.
All right. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Next Chapter Women, She Blooms in Solitude. We'd love to hear from you, so come say hi on Facebook and share your biggest takeaway from today's episode. And if you're ready to rediscover who you are in this new season, you can learn more about how we can help or book a free empowerment call through the link in the show notes. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss what's next.